Welcome to another episode of the Finding Serenity in the Midst of Chaos podcast. Today, we're going to talk about aging gracefully. Well, this episode is for you if you're the kind of person who knows exercise is good for you, but just can't seem to find the time, energy, or the motivation to do it. If you're feeling your age and would rather not, and you've been sitting a lot for work and leisure and you want to change that, and you will love this episode because you will discover that sitting isn't as bad for you as you might think if you sit the right way, and you'll know how to find the time, energy, and the motivation to integrate more movement into your daily life easily and enjoyably, and whatever, no matter what your schedule is. And you will discover that getting older doesn't mean you have to be old or feel old. So without further ado, we're going to start this episode with our new guest, Gila Archer. Hello, Gila. Welcome to the podcast.
Hello, thank you for inviting me.
Oh, it's so nice to have you here. Some of our listeners might recognize you from our interviews before a long time ago, but just do tell us who you are, what you do, and how you help people, please.
Okay, so I'm Gila Archer, and thank you again for inviting me here tonight. I'm a level 4 Pilates instructor. That's the highest qualification you can get in teaching Pilates. I'm also previously a primary school teacher as well, so I have all that teaching background as well.
Amazing.
And I work now with busy professional women who struggle to find the time to exercise because they're juggling careers and family and life in general. And for some reason, we put ourselves sometimes at the bottom of that to-do list and we never quite find the time to exercise. So it is possible. And I help women to do that so they can enjoy moving, feel fabulous, and good about themselves. So that's who I work with currently through my Pilates.
Amazing. Sounds good. So if I may ask, what really got you into this in the first place? Being a teacher and then all of a sudden Pilates teacher, that seems, kind of interlinked, but not so.
Well, I've always been interested in movement. Always been interested in how we move, and it started very much when I was working with children as a primary school teacher and looking at how they moved, and working with children with poor coordination and poor physical development, or perhaps a delay in their physical development.
Sure.
And so I started working with them, and that's perhaps another topic for another time.
Okay.
But that led me into looking at the impact of movement on all aspects of our lives, and how it impacts on us. And from the work I did with the children, you notice how it impacts on cognitive processing, on your health, on your self-esteem, on how you get dressed, how you move, everything. So I've always been interested in movement. The reason I got into helping busy professional women is because I had always been moving, always done things. And then I had my children and everything went out the window, and I just struggled, and I found it so hard to exercise. And my favorite phrase was, but I just haven't got enough time. I haven't got enough time. And when I did have enough time, I felt too tired to do it, and I didn't want to, and I wasn't motivated. And it really frustrated me. Anyway, I then worked through over a few years, worked this through for myself. And that's what I now share with other busy professional women, that it is possible. You just need the right approach. It's nothing to do with you. You just need the right approach to tackle it, and you can do it.
Amazing, amazing. For those of you who don't know, Gila is a Pilates instructor, runs 2 businesses and have 3 children, and she can find time for all of those right now. So why is it that we just don't seem to be able to find that time? Tell us. We all know exercise is good for us. We all know moving our body is going to help us, but we just don't seem to be able to get up and do it. Why is that?
Well, it's because we haven't evolved to exercise. It's not part of our natural instinct. So we're born to move, but not exercise, and that is key. So if you resonate with any of the things, oh yeah, I'm just always too lazy, or you even label yourself, say, oh, I feel tired, I'm just lazy, I just can't be bothered to do anything, then actually, you know what? You're not lazy. That's just natural. That's normal. We're evolved to conserve energy. Because in case there is a lack of food or anything like that, that's how we've evolved. And so we're not meant to exercise.
What is the word exercise you kept mentioning? What does it mean?
Well, it's like an artificial type of movement.
Okay.
And it actually comes from the Latin word meaning to be busy, to work, to work hard and be busy.
Interesting.
So it's interesting this. And if you look at other animals in the animal kingdom, there's no other animals that exercise. They all move because they go and hunt. They might move, for survival reasons. They will move perhaps to play, or to chase, whatever. But if you look at, you go around a zoo or whatever, most of the time the animals are just laying there doing nothing. They're just conserving their energy. But of course, so you could ask, well, why does that really matter then? Why do we need to? What is all this paraphernalia, all this, sort of noise about we must exercise, you should exercise, you need to do so many minutes a day, you need to do this, when actually we're not evolved to do that. Well, the thing is, we live in a far more sedentary society than our ancestors. And so hunter-gatherers and so on would be going out hunting, walking miles, doing different things, getting their food. Whereas now we can pick up the phone and order pizza to the door, and you don't even have to get up out of your chair. So you can get that food without even having to move a muscle. And it's that real sway of being so sedentary that means we have to replace our natural movement that we would have been doing with, if you like, artificial exercise to try and compensate.
It makes so much sense now that you've explained that, because if it is opposite of what we naturally are meant to do, our brain is going to resist exactly that, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Why would you want to get up in the morning to rigorously work yourself for 20 minutes? Because it's against your nature. That makes so much sense. And what we resist persists in a way, but we are resisting it because it's not our natural way of being. Now that we know that, and that's amazing, because that kind of immediately, brings down all the barriers to exercising or moving your body. Let's call it moving your body from now on. So what's the best way for us to get more movement into our lives? Can you give us a few examples, maybe?
Well, the best ways to get movement into your life is to make movement necessary.
Okay.
So take the stairs instead of the lift. You've got to get up, you've got to get up a floor. So instead of taking the lift or staying on the ground floor, take the stairs, go up, the stairs. So do things like that, make it necessary. Walk a bit further, park a bit further away from wherever you're going and walk that bit further. They're quite simple things where you can just easily incorporate a bit more movement. And the big thing, I think, in which I talk a lot about in my book as well, is about enjoying it. Make it fun. Because when you look again back at research of our hunter-gatherers and everything, they move. I gave a few examples of when they move, but they move for social reasons. We enjoy moving for fun, dancing at parties, socially, or going somewhere with a friend. There's that social interaction. We're social human beings. So you can do that. And there's sort of two key things to keep in mind. But it's not just like you said, absolutely, it's about moving your body rather than exercise. And I know a number of the women I've worked with say, well, I'm just not going to worry about calling it exercise, because that in my brain immediately, if there's a power struggle there, whereas if I just say I'm going to move, all of a sudden that feels a lot easier. So I'm just going to get moving. But it is important also to think about, especially if you have a desk-bound job or you're sat or you're in static postures a lot of the time because of work, that you move in a mindful way and that you move and incorporate movement that's going to help rebalance those postures out. And that's where the Pilates comes in. And so I taught my members, we snack on moving.
Oh, that's nice. I like that.
Little snacks of moving. And so it hasn't got, it's better little and often throughout the day, break things up. So fidgeting is a really good way. So don't just, we can sit absorbed in work and sit and you don't actually move at all. And again, if you look back at research in looking at modern day hunter-gatherers, they tend to actually sit about the same amount of time as we do.
Oh,
okay. Which shocked me. I was like, hold on, you hear all these messages, sit less, you know, stand up, have a standing desk, sit or whatever. Anyway, but it's not that amount of time they're sitting, it's how they are sitting.
Okay.
So they will sit where they might be squatting, they might be crouched, they might be sat on, you know, something, which we have chairs these days, don't we, with backs and supportive backs, doing all the work that our muscles should be doing, where we're sat and we're supported. Whereas modern hunter-gatherers will be sat and propping themselves up, holding themselves, and they sit actively. So they will fidget, they'll be reaching, they'll be turning as they're moving, they'll be getting up, sitting down, getting up, sitting down, they'll be fidgeting, and their sitting is interrupted. So if you are in a desk-bound job and you want to incorporate more movement, is just fidget and get up and down and get up to the photocopier or you know, do a long walk around the office before you sit back down or whatever it is. Those are really easy things that you can add in.
Yeah, that's interesting that you say that. I used to do that in the office a lot. I used to drink a lot of water, but then if you drink a lot of water, you know what the consequences. You have to get up and go and walk from one office to the coffee shop and do whatever. But yeah, it is quite interesting that we do that. And very interesting you said about the chairs supporting you, but it's really making your body become lazy in a way, in not supporting itself. I never thought of it in that way, but that's interesting because I am someone who suffers from back pain right from my shoulder down to my, you know, sciatica nerve and all of that sort of stuff, even though I exercise 5 times a day and walk 20 minutes every day. So there is some adjustments to be made, clearly. So at the beginning, we said about aging gracefully, and what has exercise got to do with aging or staying young? Tell us about that.
Well, yeah, I mean, we're all getting older. And we can't escape that fact. That's just, so we just have to accept it and say, okay, we're all getting older. And the benefits of moving, I mean, obviously there are many health benefits, which I'm sure we're all familiar with in terms of cardiovascular disease, bone strength, muscle strength, mobility, balance, coordination, feeling more positive, you know, better mood, sleep better, you have more confidence, you have more energy, all of these things come in. But research shows that actually moving and being active as we get older can actually add 3 to 5 years onto your life expectancy. And if you think about what defines you as getting old, if you look at someone and you make a judgment as to their age, what are you basing that judgment on? It might be how they look, it might be what they're wearing, but it might be how they move. And someone who is sort of pushes themselves off out of the chair and holds on to things, or is like, oh, you know, and takes a while, you would think, oh, they look old, because you're making that connection that how they're moving is relative to their age. Now, we're all getting older and we can't escape that, but what we can do is choose how we get older. And we can choose to get older by being physically active. And again, you know, in the UK, we've got guidelines of 150 minutes of physical activity a week. That's 21 minutes a day. That's not much. So that's easy to do. And actually, it's shown that it's about keeping that activity up, especially as you get 65, 70, you know, that's the time not to stop being physically active, to actually try and continue or increase that. Again, we're in a culture in the UK and probably similar in other countries where there's you know, you retire and there's this thing of, oh, when I retire, you know, you want to avoid retiring and just sitting and stopping. And I know this trend is changing, and I've seen it myself where most retire and they're busier then than they ever were before, being active and doing things, which is great, because we have this stereotype of, as you get older, you retire and you stop. You again go back to our ancestors. In the Stone Age, there was no retirement. You carried on. We're evolved to be physically active our whole life, not just till we're 65 or 70 and then stop. We've evolved to be physically active our whole lives. And actually, that phrase, if you use it or lose it, if you stop moving, your joints stiffen up, the muscles become weaker, and so on. And as you get older, the moving will help combat those signs of aging. So then if you see someone who is walking around, they go up and down the stairs, whatever, and you might think, oh yeah, maybe they're 50 or something. They might actually be 70, because again, you're making that judgment on how to move.
You're right, actually, use it or lose it it applies to anything. Is that if you don't use your mind, you will lose it. And if you don't use your body and your, whatever that you've learned in the past, if you don't apply it to anything, then you are going to lose it, because it's just a fact of life. And your body, the more you move it, the better it becomes at it. And I guess it's the enjoy moving and feel fabulous. You mentioned that is the title of your book, for those of you who don't know, our audience. And it is a fabulous book that I read it myself, and it is very inspiring, and examples that resonated with me a lot, especially when you said about, we used to walk to school. Now I see children walking to school with mobile phone in their hands, and almost like looking like zombies. 20 years ago, if someone told us, you would see people walking like this, on the video, audience will see that, looking down, they would think there is coming from a zombie film, but it is actually true that that's happening, and that's happening to adults, that's happening to all of us. And not only that, even when we are walking, we are just drawn into this something, so we are not conscious of how we're moving our body.
Exactly. And
engaging certain muscles or anything like that, right?
Yes, absolutely. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you there. As you're walking and you're looking at a phone, it changes your posture, and it actually changes your walking gait. So your steps get shorter, and it actually affects how you walk, because you're not looking up and looking around. And so again, it affects.
And if someone is asking, for example, you know what, I really want to exercise, and I want to move my body, but I'm in a lot of pain. What do I do? What would you say to them?
That you listen to your body. But generally your body, like I said right at the beginning, is born to move. And as long as you're moving in the right way, if you're in pain, then generally what I do in terms of, if I'm working with people who are in a lot of pain, is that we adapt movements, we work with what they can do, and we gradually build a little bit of movement in, because it helps to lubricate joints, it helps to improve blood circulation. You need the blood to be able to heal tissues and so on. And that gentle movement, if it's specific, if it's tailored for you, I wouldn't necessarily go and suddenly try a Zumba class or something like that. But if it's the right sort of movement, and you're doing it little and often in the right way, and building it up, then movement absolutely can help with so many different conditions that perhaps affect us as we age, but might not necessarily. It might just be, something that affects us for other reasons other than aging. But for the majority of us, there are quite a few common orthopedic problems that, as we age, most of us will probably encounter at some point. Arthritis is a really common one, osteoporosis, things like that. But I teach women, with it and how to move, and it helps them keep their joints lubricated, strengthen their bones, strengthen their muscles, and keep moving and keep active. Because if physical activity was a pill that was prescribed, it would be the most commonly prescribed medicine in the world, because there's no other intervention that has quite such far-reaching benefits as moving your body.
That's right. That's interesting, because I guess pain is an indication of your body trying to heal something, trying to show you that something isn't working. And if movement is our natural state of being, we've got to incorporate that sometimes. And I do vouch for this, because when I do move, despite some of the pain that I have, I feel it easing off and feeling much better. Obviously, we are not necessarily saying go and move whilst you're in pain. Do consult with your doctor. And if you are in pain and want to find the right sort of exercise, please do reach out to Gila, because she does know what sort of exercises can help you, obviously still after consulting with your doctor. So Gila, we have been chatting for a while. So thank you so much for coming. How can people find out more about you, and how can they reach you?
Okay, so I have my website, which is Gila Archer Pilates, and I also have a YouTube channel, which many people might find beneficial. There's loads of workouts on there, and it's on YouTube at Gila Archer Pilates, the same thing. I'll also send all listeners as well a little sort of like ebook, which has got lots of different ways you can incorporate movement into your everyday life really easily, whilst the kettle's boiling or anything else, nice and easy stuff to incorporate more movement. And if you want to find out a bit more about some of the topics I've talked about, like sitting and standing and things like that, and moving, then I've got my book as well, which is Enjoy Moving and Feel Fabulous, and you can find that on Amazon.
That's amazing. And we will put all of those into the show notes at the comment section of this video on YouTube. And while we've got you here, please do subscribe to this channel so that you can find out about these great topics that we are covering on the podcast every week. Until next week, thank you again, Gila, and we'll speak to you again. Bye.